Good morning, all. My name is Franklin Winder, and welcome to this session of Network One Talks. Network One Talks aim to bring you applicable information and market intelligence on business and technology. I am excited to have with me this morning a powerful presenter, and he will certainly enlighten us today. But before we bring him on, there are two housekeeping matters I would like to address. One, first of all, please ensure that your microphones are muted through the entire session. This will allow our presenter to flow through the entire process once he begins. Secondly, there's no need to take notes or worry about if I'm going to be able to see this again. Yes, you will be able to. We're going to provide you with a link to our YouTube channel where you'll have full access to this recording. And now, I am pleased to present to us my business partner, my business colleague, Antonio Stubbs. Prior to COVID-19, Antonio has been jet setting with the John Maxwell team all around the world. Orlando, North America, you name it, wherever the team is, he's there. He's been training with John Maxwell as well as Paul Martinelli. I often try to extract from him some knowledge when he returns, try to see if I can get some information from him, certainly better myself. One particular instance, we were discussing what would happen during post-19 COVID. And I was really excited with some of the disclosures and things that he said that I thought it could be shared with the wider Network One ecosystem. Fortunately, Antonio has agreed to share them with us today. So please welcome Antonio Stubbs.
Like Frank was saying, we're in a circle of some very powerful mentors. We've been talking through this whole subject about post-COVID-19. The next chapter, like Frank said, what's next for businesses? What's next for leaders? And we've been sharing with one of our mentors. He's been sharing with us too, Paul Martinelli, and we want to share some of the insights that we got from Paul, along with some of the insights that Frank and I were really brainstorming over. I really talk through this whole idea because a lot of leaders right now.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
You look
we would
so
appreciate if everybody just mute your microphone so that we can, keep it like kind of smooth. So just mute your microphones for us, please. So a lot of leaders, like we're saying, a lot of leaders are really, focusing on the crisis itself, COVID-19, and they're trying to steer their organizations through this crisis. That's good, that's great. But the big question is, when we put COVID-19 behind us, the post-COVID-19 era, where will the organization be? What's going to be happening for your institution? How are you going to stand this? When you get through this, what are you going to be looking like? Because what we need to realize, we're in the birth canal of a new emerging future. The world just became digital overnight. Literally, we've turned a new page. That's what this COVID-19 is really means to us. So the question is, what are you birthing in your organization? What are you birthing for your organization's future? What does the new future look like post-COVID-19 for your organization? That's the question, and that's what we want to talk about today. So how will you make your organization relevant? And how do you transform your organization so that it can become a part of people's daily agenda, the quote unquote, the new norm? Because if you haven't realized it yet, normal has changed and people's daily agendas have changed as well. So, you may have been a part of people's daily agenda post-COVID-19, but when this is all over, in the pre-COVID-19, you may have been a part of their agenda, but post-COVID-19, will your organization still be on people's daily agenda? That's the question. So do you remember the financial crisis of 2008 or 9/11, September 9/11, 2001? Well, what we're going through now is far bigger than any of those. Those events are like chump change to what we're experiencing now. What we are facing now is literally the world's greatest equalizing moment of all times. This is the world's greatest equalizing moment of all time. So what do I mean by that? This moment has equalized every industry, every educational institute, every religious organization, the airline industry, everything. They were all put at the same position. So no organization had an advantage over the other organization as we closed the doors, we put orders in place, and we shut down countries and we shut down institutions. That is where we are. Never before in the history of this world have we seen anything like this. When we experienced 9/11, USA 9/11, when the USA experienced 9/11, there were some organizations, I want you to get this, that celebrated. Even a few countries celebrated. But no country today, no person, no organization is celebrating this event, this pandemic. Nobody. The whole world has been impacted the exact same way. This is one time that the entire world is facing a common enemy. One that is no respecter of persons, no continent, country, race, status, or wealth. It's hit everybody the same way. Every industry, every organization. And what makes that difficult for everybody is we don't know. A lot of organizations don't know what's going to be next for them. This is the most difficult time that many organizations, many individuals, and in fact, many countries and nations have ever faced. Big organizations, huge organizations, organizations that were huge pre-COVID-19 have become small. When I reflect and I think about companies like Macy's, 125,000 employees pre-COVID-19. Today, most of those folks are home. Marriott, worldwide, 180,000 employees. Today, many of those persons are home. In fact, most of them are home. Airlines, the major airlines, pre-COVID-19 were flying passengers. Today, they are flying freight. They are flying boxes, not people. Airlines have retrofitted their planes. They've taken out the seats out of the planes, out of the aircrafts, and they're flying boxes, not people. It's in these moments when we need to understand that this is your greatest opportunity to reinvent your organization and to reinvent yourselves as leaders. But you got to see it that way. Your people, the people that work in your organizations, they have to see themselves as entrepreneurs. You have to allow them to see themselves as entrepreneurs. You have to make them feel, let them act as if they own the business, even though it's your business. If they want to be relevant, if you want your business to be relevant, post-COVID-19, you have to act that way. You have to allow your people to act as if they are part of your business, as if they are part of your ownership team. See, every organization, my friends, are experiencing the same challenges right now as we speak. Cash flow, the biggest challenge for every organization. Uncertain market share, a major challenge for every organization. And most of these organizations are basically, they're waiting for the gun to fire. But, you know, it's not going to happen that way. So, you know, the question is, the key is, where will your organization be when that gun fires post-COVID-19 on the starting line? What position will you have? What position will your organization have on the starting line? Will you be in the middle of the pack? Will you be in the front of the pack? Or you will be in the back? It's just like a marathon, the New York Marathon, for example, the Boston Marathon. The starting line is a pretty deep line. You know, it's multiple layers of runners. Some of them are at the front, some are in the middle, and some at the back. When the gun fires, my friends, post-COVID-19, where's the organization going to be? This is a wonderful opportunity to compete in your industry once that gun fires. You see, there's an old saying that you have to be in the right place at the right time to be successful. Well, that's really not true. You see, it's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about being aware that you're there. See, if you don't have that level of awareness that you're in the right place, you won't even see the opportunities that are around you. You think you're there, and you'll be just totally, unobservant and don't have a clue what's happening around you. So you wouldn't even know what to look for. You won't even know what to expect, even though you're in the right place, quote unquote, the right place. This is where we are right now. Almost half of the world's working population are still at home, mainly unemployed. And they're not sure if they will have jobs to go back to. And sadly, for most of them, they wouldn't. COVID-19 has brought about structural change like we have never seen before. Structural change. It's like rebuilding a fallen bridge. When you go and rebuild a bridge, you need to re-steel it, recreate the foundation. It's practically a new bridge. When we walk out of this pandemic, post-COVID-19, we're going to have literally a new world, a new page, the digital world. My friends, we're not going back to the fax machine. If you still got a fax machine in your office, when you get back to your office, if you're not back in the office now, you might as well unplug that fax machine and throw it away, because we're not going back to fax machines. We're not going back to 9 to 5. And we're definitely not going back to poor service delivery. Your customers is just totally, they're going to reject crappy service from organizations, from companies. And that old brick and mortar, the old brick and mortar model of business, where, we create these magnificent offices, we fill them up with nice desks and nice chairs. That's going to become a thing of the past. That's not going to happen going forward. Many of the major retail spaces right now as we speak in the United States, former mall spaces, former high-end stores, mega stores, those retail spaces are being utilized now by Amazon. Amazon is utilizing these spaces for storage facilities. Because a lot of these retail companies have already pulled out. They've closed shop. We're not going to go back to business as usual. So no more fax machines, my friends. No more 9 to 5. No more poor service. Start thinking a new model of business. We're not going back to brick and mortar. And you cannot go back to business as usual. It's just not going to happen. So if you do this, if you keep the fax machine and you keep thinking like, look, 9 to 5 is the way we're going to be, your business will become irrelevant. As simple as that. Because what we're going through, like I said, this is structural change. This COVID-19 has changed the game. It's a game changer. And COVID-19 has impacted businesses in 3 ways. Some businesses have accelerated. Many of them are accelerated. Some businesses have decelerated. They've slowed down. But many businesses have come to a complete stop. They're stalled. They haven't moved. They haven't moved from March 1st. And they don't have a clue where they're going. See, Amazon has completely taken over retail, but Amazon only owns one brick and mortar store that I'm aware of, and that's Whole Foods. They purchased Whole Foods in about 2017, late 2017. That's the only brick and mortar store that I'm aware of that Amazon owns today. But today, right now, Amazon is owning the retail space along with Walmart. Apple and Spotify have taken over the music industry. They don't have music stores. They don't have artists that are signed to them. They don't have music recording studios, but they've literally taken over the music industry. Netflix has taken over movies, has taken over television without even owning a single movie theater. But in the first quarter of 2020, Netflix, get this, my friends, Netflix has added 15 million new subscribers. And most of those came between March and today. 15 million new subscribers. Theaters are closed. Music shops are closed. Those owners and those leadership teams are trying to figure out what's next for our business. And guess what? They don't see the light. They don't see the light. They don't see the way forward. But Netflix is dominating. Amazon is making money. Apple is making money. Spotify is making money. These guys' revenues have been not impacted in any negative way. The largest hotel industry, get this, the largest hotel company in the world doesn't own one hotel room, doesn't even own a hotel. That's Airbnb. Who do you think, post-COVID-19, who's going to be up and running first? Who's going to be out of the starting block first? Who's going to be at the front of the starting line post-COVID-19? Airbnb or the Hyatt Regency brand? Think about it. The largest transportation company in the world doesn't own a single taxi cab. And you know, that's Uber. Doesn't have one cab. Who do you think is going to rebound and be back and up and running post-COVID-19 because of their strategies, because of their business models? Yellow cab or Uber? While on the other hand, think about this. Other brands, other companies like TJ Maxx, Ross, Marshalls, Dollar Tree, these guys don't even have an online presence. Could you imagine what COVID-19 has done to TJ Maxx, to Ross, to Marshalls, and to Dollar Tree, to those guys' businesses, with the absence of an online presence? Don't you think their leadership teams were aware of this? Don't you think their leadership teams were told that, hey, look, perhaps we should start thinking about establishing an online presence? You see, it's in times of change, just like what we're going through, that the leaders and the people who are teachable and that are learners, these are the kinds of people that will take over the earth. The learners will inherit the earth. When you have a leadership team and they aren't teachable, they aren't learners, they think they know it all, they have all the answers, this is what happens to them. They miss the boat. With the absence of an online presence, those that are unwilling to learn, that are unteachable, will have to prepare themselves for a changed world. And sadly, take what that world offers them, which won't be much. This post-pandemic era is not going to offer those kinds of leadership teams and organizations much. They would not be able to exist. Those businesses will become irrelevant. And you've already seen it happening. Many businesses have filed already bankruptcies because the absence of cash flow will kill any business. And I want you to get this. This may be the end for many of those organizations where there aren't the learners aren't in place, where CEOs and the leadership teams believe that they have all the answers. This may be the end of those organizations. COVID-19 has impacted the way that people around the world think about everything. People are going to reevaluate the importance of travel. People are going to reevaluate the need to travel. They're going to reassess their use of public transportation. Do you think people are just going to jump back on an airplane? Do you think people are just going to jump back on a public bus? Going to jump in a taxi? Do you think people are just going to show up to your offices and want to sit down in front of you and have a meeting, a face-to-face meeting with you? No, my friends, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen that way. Do you think your people, your customers, depending on the business you're in, are just going to swing their doors open for you and tell your service people, welcome, come on in? No, it's not going to happen that way. You're going to have to rethink your business. You're going to have to rethink your business model. Everything is going to change because your customers have changed. They're changing the game. People are going to revisit the need for face-to-face meetings. So, is back to normal just a phrase that so many people are clinging to, or is it just a fantasy? What do you think? You remember 9/11 like we spoke about? Did we ever go back to normal after 9/11? No. No. What was created was a new world. The United States became highly securitized. Everywhere you go, there were securities and security systems, automated security systems, manual security systems, and people watching you. The world turned into an anti-terror world overnight. And that affected everything. Government issue IDs suddenly became important. You can't go anywhere now without a government issue ID in your pocket or in your wallet. You can't walk the streets without a government issue ID anymore. Metal detectors appeared everywhere. The way we get on planes, airplanes right now, is totally different. After 9/11, everything changed. We have marshals now flying on the airplanes with us, armed marshals that we don't even know they're on the plane with us, sitting beside us. We don't have a clue. Pre 9/11, that never happened. Pre 9/11, TSA was a different TSA. Post 9/11, TSA changed the game. What was allowed on the airplanes, what you can take, what you couldn't take, what you can take on your carry-on, the game changed. It created a new normal. Do you think we're going back to that normal? You think that normal that people are waiting for to happen post-COVID-19? No, my friends, it's not going to happen. You see, what's happening right now is the new normal is already being created. And people aren't even realizing that. Organizations aren't even realizing that. The new normal is being created every day. Every day as we speak, the new normal is being created. While many organizations are sitting back and talking about, back to normal. When we get back to normal, when we get back to 9 to 5, when we can call our people back, they think it's going to be that simple. It's not going to be that simple. Many organizations are opening right now. They're reopening. And many of them, what they're doing, they're turning the sorry we're closed sign around, and they're simply spinning it around and say, come in, we're open. But it's not that simple. A lot of those customers, a lot of your customers, they aren't coming back. A lot of your students, those of you that are in the educational system, that are in universities and high schools and the like, some of your students, they aren't coming back. They aren't coming back to your school. A lot of church leaders, they're pushing for their churches to open, thinking that their members, a lot of their members are coming back. They're not coming back. At least they're not coming back to your church. They're not coming back to your school. They're not coming back to your institution, to your university. They're not coming back to your business. Why? Because somebody, some business, some church, some institution, some university, some college has shown them what the new normal looks like. They've already begun to create that new normal, and they've participated in that. And they're liking what they're seeing from those organizations. So they're not coming back. Many organizations have reopened their doors, and they're begging their employees to come back. And guess what? Some of them don't even want to go back. They're not going back. Because guess what? 9 to 5, they can't see themselves working 9 to 5 anymore. They was like, you got to be crazy. You think I'm coming back to sit in the office from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. and I can do what I was doing at home? You better reinvent your business. You better look at the way you were doing business. You can't simply flip the sign around and say, we're open, come in, we're open. It's not going to happen that way. This is the next chapter. And we're living the next chapter right now. Where are you going to be on the starting line when the gun fires and COVID-19 blows away and we're all open for business and we all can say, come in, we're open, thinking that people are going to just flock our offices and flock our businesses and flock the airlines and flock the hotels. It's not going to happen that way. What are you showing to customers today that's different from what you did pre-COVID-19? So what does the future look like for you as a leader? What does the future look like for your organization? You really have to give this some serious thought as leaders. What kinds of people, and this is most important, what kinds of people do you have on your team? Who's sitting around the leadership table with you? What kind of thinkers are they? And that's the big question. What kind of thinkers are they? There are three types of people in any organization. And there are three types of people that we have on this call right now. We have the historians. The historians are the types of people that always talk, they sit around the table. They're good people. Don't get me wrong. They're good people and you need them. And they always talk about the way it used to be, the past, the way it was. And sadly, some of their work involves historical data and historical information like numbers and financial information and statistical numbers and things like that. So these guys are constantly studying the past. A lot of them are programmed to review the past. They can't get out of history and historical data and historical thinking. Those are the historians, and they're around your table. Then you have the reporter. They're just like the news people. And these people are caught up on the way it is today. They're always talking about, this is how we do it right now. So whenever somebody's trying to make a change, oh, no, this is how we do it. This is the way it's done right now. So you have one group talking about, this is how we did it. We can't change the game. Then you have another group talking about, this is how we do it today, and it's working. They don't want to rock the boat. These are the guys that have, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. That's their mentality. The final group of persons that we have in organizations that sits around the table are the futurists. These are the guys that see around the corner. These are the guys that are more likely to tell us what's happening. Sometimes they walk around our companies with the light bulbs on top of their heads, almost like nerds. These guys are always futuristic in their thinking. And if you don't sit down and listen to them, sometimes you think they're crazy. Like, what is this dude talking about? What is this lady talking about? It just sounds a little bit too futuristic for some of us. But my friends, that's the reality of it. These are the three persons that's sitting around the table with us: the historian, the reporter, and the futurist. Remember, like I said earlier, what we're going through right now is structural change. It's about getting back to the starting line. So you need to have a new kind of thinking in your business. You need a different thought process. Remember, like I said, every organization has been equalized. If you're in the educational institutions, if you're a part of the educational world, every university has been equalized. If you're in the retail space, every retailer has been equalized. Every service provider has been equalized. Now, some organizations have already gotten a head start because they're working this thing. And they're positioning themselves at the front of the starting line. And they understand that this is structural change. They understand what needs to happen. They understand that, hey, look, the problems that we had pre-COVID-19 that we created, because of the era that we're in now, because of the pandemic, those problems have exploded. So we need a new kind of thinking to solve the old problems. If you get back around the table, my friends, and the organizations, and you try to solve those problems that you had pre-COVID-19 with the same old level of thinking, the same old minds, your business is going to become irrelevant. You and all the people around the table are going to become irrelevant. You need a new kind of thinking. You need to get some futurists in your business. You need to get some futurists on your team, the kinds of guys that see around the corner. Those nerdy type guys that are walking around with the light bulbs on, start engaging them. They can help you because the historian is talking the past. He's talking about what happened pre-COVID-19. That's invalid. The report is talking about yesterday and today. This is the way we do it now. That's invalid. That can't help you. That stuff is going to make you irrelevant. So now you have to start thinking anew. You have to start thinking differently. You have to start thinking right now. In fact, it's a bit late. It's a bit late in the game. You should have been thinking a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. You should have been thinking now about what is likely to happen in your business. What is likely to happen in the institution? Where is your industry going? Get what I'm saying now? Not where's your organization going. Where is your industry going? How the game changing in your industry? Is my product or are my products and my services still going to be relevant post-COVID-19? The service that I offer today, the one service, because a lot of us are single service providers, the one service that my business offers today, is that still going to be relevant? Are customers still going to want that service? Is that service still going to be required? Or are you still going to try to plug in the fax machine and send a fax? Nobody's going to get that fax, my friends. Sad to say, nobody's going to get that fax. That fax isn't going anywhere because most persons around the world, most organizations have already unplugged the fax machine. You see, what I'm telling you is as you reopen your businesses, as you think about what's happening, you need to have a different kind of meeting. You can't be in your meeting talking about the budget, the pre-COVID-19 budget, the pre-COVID-19 business plan, the pre-COVID-19 strat plan. You can't have the historians coming at the table talking about the way it used to be pre-COVID-19. You can't have the reporters coming to the table talking about, well, this is how we did it today. This is how we serve our customers today. This is the product that we provide today. That's irrelevant. They're going to sink the ship. And all of you are going to become irrelevant. You better find the futurists. That little guy, that little lady that's walking around your organization that's glowing, that's been trying to stop you for quite some time and say, hey, Mr. Smith, I want to talk to you. That you've been running from, you better start engaging him. You better start engaging her because she can help your business. He can help your business. That's the futurist. Get those kinds of people around the table. BCM, business continuity management, has never been more important than it is right now. And this has been proven. This era, this pandemic has proven the importance of business continuity management. Many organizations, those that have stalled, didn't have a plan. Didn't have a business continuity plan. Didn't have a disaster recovery plan. They never thought for one moment, even though this stuff was causing reaping havoc in China, they never thought for one moment that they would have to shut the doors and close the doors for their businesses. You know, when consultants like myself and Frank, and we approach these companies like we've been doing in the past and trying to talk to them about business continuity management and disaster recovery, they look at us and laugh like, what are you talking about? We're good. I'll tell you a story. In my business, I sat with a company. I sat with an organization in early March, and we were talking through some of what's going to be happening. And one of the things that we were talking about is, what do you see happening in your industry that can impact your business in a major way in the next 12 months? And guess what they told me? I'm glad you asked. They told me nothing. They said, we don't see anything. We're good. I said, really? You're good? And at that time that we were having that problems, COVID-19 viruses was reaping havoc in China. It already hit the West Coast in California. Persons were being impacted. Persons were being infected by the virus. And these guys told me, we don't see anything coming our way in the next 12 months. And guess what? Guess what's the biggest surprise? These guys are very close to the health industry. They aren't far from the health industry, but they missed the boat. You know why? There weren't any futurists at that table. I had the historians in the room with me. I had the reporters in the room with me. And these guys were talking about the way it used to be, the way it is today. This is how we do it today. And how we do it today is good. It's working. They couldn't see another way out. They didn't even see the pandemic coming. And these guys are that close to the health industry. You see, what's going to happen, my friends, as you go back, as you get back to your norm, whatever you define your norm as, you and your people are going to have to work their butts off. This fight, this game is not going to be easy. You're going to have to expect a whole lot more from your people, and then you're going to have to expect a whole lot more from yourself. And it's going to be that way for quite some time. You're going to have to push hard, and you're going to have to push your people hard, if you want to remain irrelevant, if you want to be relevant. Market dominance has dissipated. You have been equalized, my friends. You've been equalized with your competitors. Harvard University and UB were at the same level at some point. But Harvard University did a very ingenious thing. They did one of the smartest things in the world. In the months of March, and I think March, you were able to do an online course program with Harvard University at no charge, free of charge. Harvard University, one of the leading educational institutions in the world, allowed folks from anywhere in the world to register and participate in a program that was where you got a certificate at the end of the program at no charge. What do you think that has done for Harvard University? It's put them at the front of the starting line. So when the gun fires, they're going to be at the front of the starting line. They're going to be one of the first institutions out of the starting line. Here's my question for you. How are you going to keep your existing customers? What should you be saying to them right now? What are you saying to them right now? And get this. What do you think your competition is saying to your existing customers right now? And what are you saying to your competition's customers right now? I want you to think about that. Those couple of questions. What are you doing to keep your existing customers? What are you saying to them right now? What do you think your competition is saying to them right now, your customers? And what are you saying to your competition's existing customers? Nothing? I hope not. Like I told you, my friends, what we're going through is this is structural change. And what is being required going forward, and what's going to be required going forward, it's going to challenge many people. It's going to challenge many senior executives. And what you're going to see happening, I believe, and it's believed by a lot of people in my circle, that a lot of senior executives will not be going back when COVID-19 goes away. They're not going back. They're not going back to their businesses. Many of them don't want the headache of rebuilding. Many of them want the challenges of creating new programs. So some may go back for a short period of time just to jumpstart those decelerated businesses, or some of those businesses that were quote unquote that may have stalled. They may go back to try to jumpstart those businesses. And after that, they're gone. They're gone, and they're gone for good, and they're not going back. The other thing I believe you're going to see happening, you're going to see board of directors are now going to be looking at their leadership team, and they're going to realize that they need a different kind of leadership team. They need some different kinds of people around the table to take those organizations where those organizations are going to need to go. So you're going to see, I believe you're going to see going forward, there are going to be a tremendous amount of leadership changes in organizations. Leaders are going to voluntarily leave, and some leaders are going to be asked to leave. And it's going to be in their best interest to leave, because what's going to be required of them, I don't think they're going to want to be able to do that. They won't be able to do it, or they won't be interested in doing that. It's going to require a lot of hard work. And it's going to be that way for quite some time. What's going to be required to get some of these businesses back up and running, is going to be a major challenge for some leadership teams. So what you need to do right now is look around you. Check your team. Take a look at your team. Make sure that the people that are working with you right now, the people that are sitting around your table, that they are all in. They are all in with you. That you have their back and they have your back. And they're dedicated to this rebuilding exercise. They're dedicated to making your organizations relevant again. If you don't see those kinds of people sitting around you when you look on your left and you look on your right, as a leader in the organization, it's time for you to make some changes, because you're not going to make it with those kinds of people around your table. So as you think about the future, As you think about the future, I have some questions I want to ask you. I want you to think about these questions. How are you going to relate to those people that aren't your customers today? How are you going to relate to them? What is your message? What is your message to your existing customer base right now as we speak? What is your message to them right now? Have you sent a message? Have they even heard from you? How do you make yourselves relevant to your non-customer base and more relevant to your existing customer base? I can tell you, your relevancy now is being challenged. I can tell you, like I told you earlier, many of your customers aren't thinking about coming back to you because your competitors have showed them a different world, a different kind of product, that they've seen a different process, and they're liking it. How are you connecting with your customers? And here's the big one. How are you connecting with your employees? Do you even know where some of your employees are? Do you even know what they're thinking? Do you even know what they're saying? Do you even know if they still work for your organizations? A lot of employees, my friends, have already jumped ship. They're not even engaged with you anymore. They've moved on. They're being employed, and guess what? Here's the big one. A lot of them now are self-employed. They don't want to work for you anymore. You have become irrelevant. Here's a question I have for you. What would you like your customers to say about you right now? Right now. As in the midst of this pandemic, what would you like your customers to say about you right now? And when you leave this call, I want you to get in your boardrooms and get back to your executive team, and you ask your executives, ask your inner circle, these two questions I'm going to give to you. What do we want our customers to say about us right now? Not yesterday, not pre-COVID-19, right now. In the midst of this pandemic, what do you want your customers to say about you right now? But here's question 2. Sounds alike, but it's a different question. What are they actually saying about you right now? That's the bigger question. See, one is the ideal deal. One is what you want to hear. One is what you hope they would say. But the other one, how they answer the other one, that's the real deal. You see, and that's the gap. There's a gap between what you want them to say and what they're saying. That's what we call a reality gap. You see, and how they actually answer that question, what they actually say about you right now, that depends, and that's dependent on how your organization has been taking care of them throughout this pandemic. Yeah, they're kind of considering what happened and how you took care of them pre-COVID-19. But more importantly, they're looking at how you took care of them throughout this pandemic. How have you impacted their businesses? How have you impacted their lives? That's the way they're going to look at those questions. And that's the way they're going to frame their answer to you. And that's where the gap is going to be formed. How have you impacted their business lives? How have you impacted their personal lives? There is never a more relevant time than now, right now, to close that reality gap, to make it smaller, to shrink the size of it. This is the ideal opportunity for you, for any business, for any leader, to take that on and find a way to add value to your customers by closing that gap. You can show them that you care. It's a bit late, but you can still show them that you care. You can reach out, but you should have already reached out. You can show them that you like to serve them, but you should have been serving them. You should show them some love, but you should have been showing them some love. You need to be showing them that you want more for them than you want from them. Did you get that? Let me say it to you again. You should be showing them that you want more for them You want more for them than you want from them. See, my friends, that's how you add value. That's how you add value to your customers. So here are some things that you should be doing right now. As we bring this to close, here are some things I want you to think about. This should be your to-do list. I want you to be the voice of reason. And I want you to be rational in your thinking and your behavior. So as a leader in your organization, as you communicate within your organization, you communicate to your team, as you communicate to your customers, I want you to be that voice of reason and be rational in your thinking and in your behavior. Number two, I want you to connect with every customer that you have. Now, I know some people are going to push back at me and say, well, I can't connect with every customer that I have. Well, too bad for you, because your competitor probably will. You better find a way to connect with every customer that you have and connect with them right now. That's number two. Number three, as the leader of your organization, you should only be communicating based on factual information. Forget what's in the news, forget the fake news, forget what you see on WhatsApp and the social media and stuff. If it's not factual, do not take it to your organization, do not present it to your customers, do not make your decisions, do not base your decisions on non-factual information. Everything that you do as it relates to your communications should be based on factual information, facts. Only talk about facts. Number four, be the voice of hope and encouragement. And don't be generic with your hope. You have to, as a leader in your organization, you have to find some tangibles. You have to find some specific elements of hope that you can take back to your people so that your people can see, based on these elements of hope, that there's hope for us. Your customers can see that there's hope for us. I can stick with this organization because I see some specific elements of hope. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Number five, and this is so important. If you're in business, especially big business, you should call your key vendors. In fact, you should have already called your key vendors. You should have already made that phone call. Because if you think you're catching hell, what do you think your key vendors are going through? This is structural change, my friends. Everything has been equalized. Your business has been equalized, and so have your vendors. All of your vendors, their businesses have been equalized as well. So there are possible opportunities in those business relationships that you have with your vendors. But how would you know that there are opportunities there unless you engage them? Engage your vendors, your key vendors, call them up. Number six, be a voice that listens. Listen to your staff, listen to your customers, listen to your vendors. Don't believe that as the leader of your organization, you have all the answers, because guess what? You don't. You don't. Do not have that mindset that you have all the answers and you walk around your organization, you tell people this is the way it's going to be, because the way you think it's going to be will sink the ship. You will become irrelevant. You and your organization will become irrelevant because you're missing out on the ideas. Number seven, find a way to add value. Like I say, if you want to close that reality gap between what your customers, how you would like your customers to be talking about you and what your customers are actually saying about you right now, find a way for your business to add value. As a leader, find a way for how can you add value to your employees right now? How can you add value to every customer that you have? How can you add value to your vendors? That should be the challenge for you and your exco team. That's what you should be looking at. Number eight, this one is important. Be a voice at home. Don't send the message to your family that you care more about what's happening in your organization. You care more about what's happening in the world with COVID-19 than you care about them. You're spending all the time in the business. You're on a virtual call 24/7 in your home, and you forget that you have kids. You forget that you have a spouse. And they think that, wow, this lady thinks that COVID-19 outside of outside of the home is more important than we here. Don't forget about your people. You need your people, my friends. You need to have that kind of support, because what you got coming your way, you're going to need to have some people to have your back. So don't turn your back on these key people. Number 9, like I said earlier, Frank and I spoke about this earlier. You got to get the right people on your team. If you don't have the right people on your team, you're going to have a major challenge. If you have a bunch of historians sitting around the table, if you have a bunch of historians that make up your inner circle, you have a bunch of reporters that make up your inner circle, that sit around the table with you, that are making executive decisions and executive choices with you, you're going to have a major problem. Get the right kinds of consultants around your business, people that can help you, people that can help grow your leaders, people that can help take your leadership team to the next level, people that can help you with your business continuity plan, people that help to raise and increase your level of awareness of what's happening in your industry, what's happening in your organization, because there's always a bigger picture out there that you can see. Get some people around you, some futuristic type people that can help you frame what the new picture should look like for your organization and where this industry for your organization will going. Get some people around you that can help you look at your existing processes, but to help you come up with additional and new products on some existing processes that you have. So look at the people that's around the table with you. Don't only have the historians. They are good people. Don't only have the reporters. They are good people. But engage some of the futuristic type people. The people that's going to help you see around the corner. That's going to talk about what the new future should look like, what your new industry should look like. And finally, this one is so important. Develop multiple communication channels and platforms with all of your stakeholders. Not only your customers, all of your stakeholders. Like I said earlier, this was a major challenge for many organizations in the United States and around the world. They had one way of seeing their people, and that way was when the people walked through the front door. Not even an online presence, no type of social media interface. Nothing, no social media interaction, nothing. And those businesses suffered greatly, and many of them will be closing their doors. They will not be coming back. They've already become irrelevant. Major organizations becoming irrelevant. Major organizations filing for bankruptcies. Major organizations missed the boat. Hertz, you probably heard about Hertz the other day. $7 billion in debt, unable to facilitate their debt, to service their debt. Absence of cash flow. Thousands and thousands of cars parked up all around the United States, all around the world, that haven't seen drivers in 3 and 4 months. New brand cars sitting there. When everybody was buying SUVs, Hertz was buying cars, not realizing that their customers wanted SUVs. Missing the boat. Why? They didn't have the futurists sitting around the table with them. You know, this is a unique time. This is an opportunity. And as we look at our businesses, Frank, as leaders, this is the time this is the time that leaders were made for. And this is what leadership is all about. And I want to say to you, Frank, I want to say to the leaders here, Frank, like we talked about earlier, this is the moment that leaders were made for, and this is the challenge. This is the time that challenges leaders. But leaders have to step up, Frank. Leaders have to take their companies to the next level. They have to look at post-COVID-19 as a new opportunity for their business. Frank, so I think that ends our discussion here, Frank, for the morning. You probably want to...
Thanks, Antonio, for a powerful commentary on this matter and for giving us the next steps to navigate this pandemic. Our contacts are here on the screen, so feel free to reach out to us should you have any questions or comments. You will also be sent a YouTube link that will allow you to connect to our YouTube channel, Network One Talks, and you'll be able to see this presentation as well as other future contents on the channel once you subscribe. So please subscribe to the channel once you get connected. Finally, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. I would also like to recognize our colleagues from Belize and Brazil from the southern part of the world for joining us here today. Once again, thank you, and have a super fantastic day.